Hello everyone, Anna Bellinghausen and Jacob Padilla back with you to talk some more Nebraska volleyball. This team keeps on rolling, 24-0, number one in the country. They're good, Jacob. There's not too much to say on how good this team is, but we can break down what we know for you. We'll start with the two sweeps this past week, Illinois at home and then at Minnesota. Starting with that Illinois matchup, what stood out? Because it was beautiful.
Yeah, well, 11, 15, 14 were the point totals for Illinois in that match, so it wasn't even competitive for most of it. And Illinois they're not a ranked team, but they've been hanging around the kind of receiving votes ranks for a while, and they've been competitive. So that's just Nebraska playing at a really high level. It's season high 488 hitting. They only had 7 errors as a team. Mm-hmm. Illinois hit 095. 10 different players had a kill. And the most impressive thing about that, like setting the 48 season high hitting percentage, is the amount of subbing they did. They gave Campbell Flynn stretches. They rotated in basically everybody again. 10 different players had kills. And no matter who was playing what, there was no drop-off. Mm-hmm. They came in and the offense rolled, operated at such a high level that they're able to, again, post a season high. So that was probably the thing that stood out, especially with Andy Jackson leading the way, terminating on all 9 of her swings.
Yeah, perfect.
Hard to be better than that. And also Lainey Choboy with a career-high 20 digs. And
Lexi Rodriguez was in the crowd, so that's pretty.
Yep, showed out for
had some magic
Lexi
there
for sure. And Lainey last week, again, we kind of seen that go back and forth with the libero spot, but it really seems like Lainey's settled in there. At 15 digs in the second match, so 35 digs, 5.8 digs per set on the week. She's up to 2.84 digs per set on the season to lead Nebraska. There was a while there where Bergen Riley was leading the team in digs, which not ideal. You would rather her taking the second contact than the first, but she's also a really good defensive player in the back row as a setter. But it seems like they've really settled in now, which I know she talked. It seemed like we thought it would work out the other way, where Olivia Mauk at libero, Lainey at defensive specialist, and that would probably be kind of where it settled in, and maybe there'd just be something like, hey, we'll give her this weekend and then go back to the way it was. But it seems like it's kind of swung back to where Lainey's just solidified herself in that position now and is playing at a high level.
Yeah, again, career high 20 digs for Lainey. And she talked about it post-game of how good that Nebraska block is that allows her to do her job really well, too. So she's able to clean up what they need, and she had an incredible play. She had like 3 saves in a row. So, take us through that, Jacob.
Yeah, probably the highlight of the match was the not even a dig. It was the block cover for Terea Sigler, who back row swing, flew in. Obviously, if she's coming from the back row, there's nobody behind her. Illinois threw up a good block, and it bounced back over her head, and Lainey just laid out one-arm dig, kept it up in the air, and then Nebraska ended up scoring the point. So that's exactly why plays like that are exactly why Danny Bustrom Kelly wants Lainey on the floor as much as she can. And as long as the passing works out well enough, then I think she really wants to get those highlight plays because it fires up the crowd, it fires up her team, and obviously it makes it is demoralizing for the other team.
And DBK let us know after the Illinois match. First thing she said was, hey, we passed this
263, I think it was.
Yeah.
Which is a really
She's like,
high
that's
number.
good. That's good, everyone. So she made sure we knew.
And, I mean, we've been among those that kind of point, like, if there is a weakness, it's that.
We got to find something, guys.
Yeah, but and she kind of bristled at that a little bit. She's like, oh, you can kind of look at passing numbers however you want to, and they're this and this. You can kind of manipulate them, say what you want or whatever. And she was not concerned, and I mean they're leading the country in hitting, and their hitting percentage went up again this weekend to 344.
Yeah.
So obviously they're passing well enough to run an offense at a really high level.
Yeah, you mentioned it. Number 1 in hitting at 344. Number 2 in hitting, opponent hitting at 116. So we'll talk a little bit more about that defense. At Minnesota, the number 22 team in the country. If there was one thing that lacked a little bit, it was that defense. Can you further explain that?
Yeah, allowed a season high 268 to Minnesota, and last week talked about how they were leading the Big Ten in conference play in blocks per set at over 3 a game. Well, they had 3 in this entire match. So and again, we're at this point now where you're just finding things to keep harping on just to keep them working hard and whatever. And I guess if you want to, like, that's not the defensive standard that Nebraska has established this season. And, it kind of prevented them from potentially moving back up towards getting number one on defense, because Hofstra is still holding that lead because Nebraska had a really good defensive match, and then their worst defensive match of the season by hitting percentage. But and they did allow Minnesota to get to 20 twice, but they still completed the sweep there. And if you allow 268, it's not really going to matter if you hit 434 yourself. So they hit over 430 in both matches this week. That first set, they had in the first set alone, they hit 588 with 21 kills, only one error. Bergen Riley had 19 assists in one set, which I can't remember. That's the highest total that I can remember seeing in a single set. Finished with 45 in the match, 6 digs, 3 kills, and an ace for Riley. And I mean, Andy Jackson again, 15 kills, 2 errors, 21 swings, hit 619. So in 2 games last week, 24 kills, only 2 errors on 30 swings. That's 4 kills per set on 733 hitting.
Yeah, that's incredible.
That's that'll get it done. And Rebecca Alec, 10 kills, no errors on 14 swings, 714 in that Minnesota match. So you had the middles firing on all cylinders. And then Taylor Landfair, back playing against her former team. 10 kills, no errors, 11 kills, 0 errors, 20 swings, hit 550 against her former team. And she went both matches last week without an attack error.
Wow.
15 kills on 26 swings, 3 kills a set on 577 hitting, because she didn't play in the third set against Illinois as they went to Terea Sigler playing all 6 rotations. So it's a really good week for Taylor Landfair, which we're now starting to stack those. And
that's huge in consistency.
Yeah.
That's been her biggest thing, too, is just finding consistent production from her. And like we said last week, if Taylor Landfair does that every single night going forward,
what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, what are you supposed to do with this team?
Yeah, because Harper Murray hit like 170 something, like below her standard, and didn't even matter. It wasn't even that close because, again, you try to do what you can to take away her, and you've got both middles hitting over 700. You've got your opposite, Virginia Adriano, had some good swings in that match, and then what Taylor Landfair is doing as that second outside. So, I don't know what kind of the answers are for this team right now, because
we can't help you.
Yeah.
And Lainey Choboy having a good performance there at Minnesota, too. She was previously recruited by and committed to Minnesota at one point. So probably interesting for her to get back to Minnesota and be in that libero jersey and do what she's done all year. So, moving on, we also got some awesome news with the AVCA semifinalist list for Nebraska fans. That is 3 of 14 of those semifinalists are Cornhuskers. That is the most of any school in the nation. Pretty impressive stuff. Who's on that list, Jacob?
Yeah, Kentucky's the only other one with more than one. They had their 2 outsides there, which makes sense. Every other team had 1 to fill out the list there. So Nebraska, they're 3 juniors, and Andy Jackson, Bergen Riley, and Harper Murray. We talked about Bergen last week and kind of the case that she's putting together for just awards recognition in general, and she was the only setter on the list, which interesting. So many of these lists are kind of like points generated. It's just the outsides that rack up the kills, and to a certain extent, like that. It makes sense. Like that's kind of like points in basketball. Like that's the easiest thing to see. But maybe a little bit more position, especially I guess I haven't really studied nationwide like who the top setters are. I know we graduated some great setters last year that were some big names that probably I don't necessarily know who outside of Bergen is kind of in that category for the best setters in the country and the most prolific, but you probably should consider setter more for this award, but it is a testament to the respect they have for what Bergen is doing for this team, that she is on this list and is the only setter. Yeah,
I mean, justice for setters, justice for liberos. I saw that, out on X when this list was released. But yeah, it is a kind of a bummer that there is no kill without a set, but there also is no set without a great pass. So you can, it's a chicken and the egg situation with that. But obviously those outsides 100% deserve it. But Bergen's, she has such a strong case to win this.
And we talked about Harper Murray, just how consistent she's been, still hitting over 300, over 3.5 kills a set. Probably didn't stack up to Olivia Babcock and what some of the ones that rely on one player can do from a statistical standpoint. But in terms of level of play, Harper is very much deserving to be on this list. And then Andy Jackson. So after that slow start that we talked about in the non-conference, she's hitting 449 on the season, not just the Big Ten, on the season.
Wow.
So she wiped out,
wiped
out those 4 bad matches or whatever she had early in the non-conference. 2.66 kills per set, 449 hitting, 1.14 blocks per set. So, she is very much all the way back and playing like the player that everybody expected her to be.
All right, before we move on to the upcoming matches at UCLA, at USC, want to give another little shout out. So the Nebraska volleyball team played at Minnesota. The match ended around 4 p.m. and then they flew back on their charter, whatever they have, they're playing. They came back to the Bob just in time for the Class B finals with Macy Bosinger's little sister, Mallory Bosinger. That game ended up being around 7 o'clock, about 2 hours behind. So they did end up, it worked out well for them. It was fun. I got to talk to Macy's mom and Mallory's mom, Christina, afterwards, who's the head coach at Norris, obviously playing in that game against Elkhorn North.
Dad's on staff as well.
Dad's on staff. Chris, he's awesome too. Hearing them talk about getting updates from their daughter, like, it's an hour 17 flight. Can you get some Norse gear out for me? So she was really excited. Macy was really excited to get back. And then the whole team's just hanging out in the Norse student section. Like, that's awesome.
And Mallory and Christina talked about in the press conference afterward, like, Macy's texting throughout the day, and then like she FaceTimed them in the morning while they're doing their film study, just because she wanted to be there with them and be a part of it. Just hanging out there on FaceTime, like they're sitting over here literally watching film, not talking, and Macy's just sitting there with them on FaceTime just because she wanted to be a part of it. And that's how attached she is. Obviously had a great career at Norris, and now for back-to-back titles for her mom again.
And fully back from injury too from last year too.
Mallory did not get to play a year ago because she had this injury that forced her to miss the whole season. And they won the state title anyway, and now got her back out there and led them to victory this time. So I wrote a little bit more about that match. If you want to just go check that out on our preps page on hurrdatsports.com. But just really cool. I do wonder, did anybody go sit with Olivia Mauk and her family?
So I did see Rebecca and Jalen on the other side of the tunnel, but I also am like, maybe Rebecca didn't want to go in their student section because she's a Waverly grad. So, it's like Class B rival, right? So you didn't want to do that. But
Olivia's sister, Millie Mauk, was on Elkhorn North, who Norris was playing in the final. So some rooting interest on both sides, but Mallory's been around the team.
Correct.
Like she's committed.
She's committed to Nebraska, so it did make sense. But imagine being a Norris player, because they had no idea if the team was going to show up or not because of the timing, whatever. You turn around, you're going to go serve, and the number one team in the nation's behind you. Like, you can't lose. You can't lose if they're watching you.
Well, and Harper and Macy, obviously they stream their whole life or whatever, and just a video of them running off the bus to into the Devaney to try to get there to take in the moment. That was definitely a highlight, one of the highlights of the state tournament.
It was really cool seeing them there. Okay, also before we move on to Shayla Rottenberg, Nebraska recruiting target. She is a sophomore right now. How impressive was she?
Fantastic. 30 kills, 17 digs, 5 aces, I believe, in the title match. Again, just a sophomore, leading Milford to their first title. Her daughter of Lisa Reitzma, who's Hall of Famer at Nebraska, a great player. Her name, asked her about like her mom's name. She didn't play in the Devaney, but her name's on the wall. She helped hang some of those banners there. So a pretty cool moment for her to lead her team to a state title there. And again, just a sophomore. So she's 15 years old, playing on the U19 national team. Yeah. Yes. That is insane. Yeah, that's what she did just a few months ago. Yeah. So, she's had quite a calendar year there. And again, 2028. So we still got a ways off before her recruitment really heats up, but you can bet that she's definitely a priority for the
I would think so
in that class.
And just looking at Shayla, like as a sophomore, you can just tell the athletic
6'3",
difference.
Moves really well. Yeah.
She looks like she's going to be an incredible athlete moving forward. I mean, if that's
really
what she
good
did as a
basketball
sophomore,
player too.
Yeah, so she's got options. But I would imagine she follows in her mother's footsteps. But again, we'll have to wait to see. I believe June 1st is when teams could contact her this upcoming summer. So look out for that, guys. Shayla Rottenberg, remember the name. All right, now finally moving on at UCLA and then at USC. We'll start with the Bruins matchup there on Friday. Jacob, what are you looking at?
Yeah, this weekend, interesting. Neither team is great offensively, but they are both two of the better defensive teams in terms of what they've held opponents to. They're both scrappier, a lot of digs on both sides. So it's going to be, again, another focus match for Nebraska where you have to execute at a high level. They're not going to get easy points against these teams. So they got to go out and take care of their business, play the way they need to. Because UCLA, they're 8-6 in the Big Ten, 14-10 overall. Kind of been in the receiving votes. They've cracked the top 25 a little bit. So they had a lot of transfers coming in the program, and it's kind of been up and down. Like not all of them have played at a super high level. One that has is Lola Schumacher, the libero, Wisconsin transfer. She's leading the Big Ten in digs per set. The only player over 4 at 4.29 per set. So she's going to be, you got to find a way around her in the back row. Sheridan Leverett's leading them. They're leading attacker, almost 3.7 kills a set. And for being interesting, former Louisville Cardinal PK Kong is on the roster for UCLA. Obviously played for Danny Busrum Kelly. She's only played in 7 matches so far this season. She did play in the last match, so kind of see what role she plays. But I'm sure it'll be kind of a weird situation for Danny coaching against one of her former players like this.
She's got the scout on her at least. So.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, and then at number 17, USC, they continue that California trip, Jacob.
So, yeah, another ranked opponent here, dipping back in there. USC's had some really good wins this season, also kind of slipped up at times. So interesting to see kind of what USC Nebraska sees, what version of the Trojans show up. They're third in opponent hitting, so again, strong defensive team. Interesting. Abigail Mullen was a kind of recruiting target for Nebraska, which is one of the top players on their board in that recruiting class. She's averaging 2.9 kills a set for them, and one of the top 5 servers in terms of aces in the Big Ten. So be interesting just kind of seeing her on the other side of the net. Kind of an interesting tie. Mia Taverdi, a middle blocker, transferred there from Oregon. She's from Papillion La Vista. And she's kind of her role and production has fluctuated, but she's had some stretches where she's played some really good volleyball for them, gotten an opportunity to play a big role. So and then Leah Ford as well is one of the top blockers in the Big Ten. They'll have to deal with her in the middle, over 1.3 digs per set.
Yeah. All right. So a California trip up next for the number 1 ranked Cornhuskers. Jacob Padilla, Anna Bellinghausen. We'll talk to you guys next time.